Hello and welcome to Quit or Continue, the video games podcast that pokes a finger in the eye of the games that waste your time. I, as ever, am Mike Plant. This is Andy Lachlan.
Hello.
This is Jack Turner.
Hello.
And this is Dave Whiteman.
Hello.
And this week we are taking a little bit of a different tact. So we're all going to discuss a game each. Usually we do just the one, and we all put amazing views and insight, and I don't know what.
Just in depth.
Fart jokes, the lot, into it.
Our brains.
This week we are all going to do. Is it bad to call them indie games? Is that the term we're going to do?
Non-boxed game.
Yeah, a non-traditionally massive publicised game each, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, where should we start? Who wants to go first? I'm looking at you.
I will. Well, yeah. The way you've looked at me, I am Mo, I assume, on that.
Yeah. So what have you got for us, Lachlan?
I think. Well, I'm gonna cover. And this game was actually started off as a PC point-and-click game, which we discussed in South Park, strangely enough. But I think
last week. No, 2 weeks ago.
Last week, and I suppose in a way, like the PC, just before I get into it, the PC kind of. It's been the fertile ground for this way before the consoles, and the consoles, it's become this indie game concept, but actually, we're probably just talking about actually kind of PC games, aren't we, really?
PS4 has kind of become this machine that just, I know it's not on the PS4, but PS4 has become this machine that all the PC Steam games come onto. It's like a matter of course.
And Steam, obviously, platform,
Interesting.
But I'm going to talk about Machinarium, or Machinarium, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but...
So why you picked that?
I picked that. I know it's not new. It was originally released in 2009. All right.
The man who couldn't be asked to play the newest game on PlayStation Plus, which is Apotheon or whatever it's called. He just couldn't be asked.
Couldn't be asked to play it. I didn't have the time to play it. There's two different things. Right. And it was ported to the PS3 in about 2013.
I think it's also on the PS Vita.
It is on the PS Vita.
I want to bring this one up because I think it deserves a dusting down. Because I think
you make it sound like it's done something naughty.
Dusting down as it's come out of the attic and you brought it down.
I think I went to school with dusting down.
Oh, hilarious! Because I think it's a really, really good game. I can remember I reviewed it. Oh god, good 4 or 5 years ago now, but so obviously really current. I think it's a really beautiful, really interesting game that really stands up. And I'll come to the art style in a bit, but there's not many games that really look like this game, and I think that's what makes it still feel quite distinctive. So basically, you play as Joseph, who's named after the creator of the robot. I'm not going to say his surname because I can't really pronounce it. Joseph Kashep, or I don't know, some guy anyway.
Are you high?
No, I can't pronounce his surname because it's got like...
Basically, it's got a lot of robots in it, I remember that.
Yeah, and he created the word robot. And you play as this little robot who starts off in dumped in this scrap heap in bits. And your goal is to get up this big tower to find your girlfriend, Berta. Unusual name.
Sounds a bit like WALL-E.
It is a bit like WALL-E. I mean, WALL-E came after. So WALL-E sounds a bit like this, effectively. But you are fighting against you're coming up against this Black Cat Brotherhood who've taken over this kind of robot world of kind of bits of scrap. But really, the two things about this is point and click. Some of the puzzles are kind of easy and simple, but some of the puzzles are real kind of brain teasers. You've got to pull a lot of things together to kind of create kind of solutions to problems. But really, for what sings out for this is the art style. Which is kind of hand-drawn feel to it.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful looking at it.
It looks gorgeous.
Although it's a very cold environment, I guess.
Yeah.
There's metal everywhere, but it's... I only seen the first couple of bits and I got really stuck on a puzzle early on. And
it is tough in parts. It is really tough.
Passed me by after that point.
And actually the hint system is really, really devious actually because it reduces over as you get further into the game. And there are moments where there are real head scratches. But the design, it feels like... feels like a kind of storybook that someone's turned into a game. It really does. It's got that kind of like a fairy tale, but in a kind of really sort of dark, grim fairy tale type feel to it. And also, there isn't a single word of dialogue. It's obviously they're robots. So
that's like WALL-E as well.
Look, Wall-E came after. We've already established this.
Mike's trying to take Pixar down. They just ripped off Machinarium.
Yeah, let's investigate that. Pixar. Where did you get the idea from?
Whoever wrote that particular one.
Who had the idea for robots first? Eh?
Yeah, well, this guy, Joseph guy.
No, so he says.
Yeah, well, he did.
Well.
I can't pronounce his surname, but anyway. Anyway, digress. But like, it's all shown through the interactions, but also these little pop-ups which have got pictures, which give you clues of where you need to go and what you need to do, and it just feels. I don't know. It just feels nice. It's just a really nice package. It's a bit like don't laugh.
It's in a lovely box.
It's God, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I have to deal with.
And there's always appreciated a nice package.
I'm trying to bring the level up, and this is the level that we're at.
I've played through some of it, and I found it really hard. I like point and click games, but I found it's really hard because there's no dialogue, and the world is so strange. You've got no points of reference, so a lot of times you're doing things that felt like it's more luck-based than skill-based.
So this is like going back to the old thing about point-and-click games, where you have to almost get into the head of the guy who made it to actually understand how to interpret it.
It's tough. It's not an easy game, and it pushes you. But like, I think it's a nice place to be, though. In a lot of ways, I think when there's a challenge there, and because the pace is really slow, it's not a fast game. Obviously, it's like robots walking around like a tower, but the pace is quite slow, so you can take it in chunks, I think, and I like that sense of challenge. I don't usually like really hard games, but I found this one really kind of engaging in a lot of ways.
Confession time, how many times did you use the tips?
A shitload.
I remember on that, like if you want to use the tips, don't you have to pilot a ship through a maze? That's kind of weird. Yeah. Before you even get the hint.
See, I didn't, because I never used those kind of tips. I just feel like there's no point to the game if I'm doing that. So I didn't do that. So I just stopped playing it.
But you're denying yourself all this game experience.
Shit.
Or you could just Google it, I suppose.
Yeah, Google it. I did a few Googles as well.
Do you get an achievement if you don't use the tips?
I don't know, probably.
If you do, I bet no one's ever got it.
No, probably not. No, it's a bit too esoteric.
It's one of those. You're probably going to talk about that one, aren't you, in Grim Fandango with?
Because you don't know what I'm supposed to be doing next, do you? Actually, I might surprise you. I might not. You can talk about Grim Fandango.
What are you going to do next, Mike?
I've changed my mind on the fly, as I want to do, so I might do something different. So let's talk about. You can talk about LucasArts classics. If you want.
Yeah.
Seems a natural thing to compare this to. Really.
Yeah, I think so. I think this has got real lineage to all that. I mean, it's by a small studio, Amanita Design, who've made a couple of sort of sequels ever since. I think they've got one coming out reasonably soon. But they're a really small company. They had a tiny budget for this. A marketing budget, and then, they made it kind of a bit on a shoestring, but I think it's a really lovely little package, and God!
Can we get
a little package?
Can I get a buzzer for every time?
Can we have a count at the bottom card?
That is not meant to mean crotch, everybody.
Doesn't mean crotch, means penis.
Same difference, for God's sake.
So you played it all the way to the end, do you? Does it get? Because at the start of it, I just found out. I think one of the reasons I stopped playing it was because it's really subdued. Does it get brighter towards the end, or do you start off in like the wasteland and you end up at like
expands and then you kind of it does. I mean, like it grows and expands, and I think the pacing is quite good. It is a pretty slow game. I mean, I don't think if you want like something fast paced and like really whizzy and exciting, then probably isn't the game for you. But if you want something that's gonna I think the fact you can play it on Vita is really good because you can play it in like stages and stuff.
Yeah, although it's a bit small on the Vita, because I've tried to play it on the train.
This is the thing with Grim Fandango, which I was going to talk about, but I'm not going to anymore. But
why not?
It's really because of the way Manny's head turns on. If anyone's played Grim Fandango, it's very hard to pinpoint what he's looking at on the Vita screens. It's too small for it.
Yeah, I mean that is the problem of like some games that have been kind of ported to a lot of platforms, which probably weren't really intended there in the first place.
What are the type of puzzles you sort of?
A lot of it's kind of
about
like
being difficult and stuff like that. I'm just thinking in terms of, is it so far out and weird that you've got to?
It's so out of like the logic zone in some ways.
Yeah,
I think,
you've got to combine certain items, but you've got to make that kind of mental leap. Like, oh, that's supposed to go there, but after you play it for a while, you kind of get into that frame. Like, oh yeah, I know that he's expecting me to do this and this and this.
Do you not end up just doing that thing where you literally grab every bit, like take this one bit of item, add it to that, no, add it to that, add it to that.
Yeah, but there's also environmental things. You've got to try and attach these things that you've coupled together with the bits in the environment as well.
You've got to pull it all together. And
there's too many kind of leaps.
It is challenging. I mean, it's not an easy game, but
I often think, do you not get to the point where, is it rewarding though if you've had to use a hint or look it up? I mean, I often think when they try and be too far out and too weird, to make it so challenging that people.
But if not, we would just complain it's too easy, wouldn't we?
But I can honestly say I've never beaten
actually.
a game like that without cheating at least once.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it's
don't
not-
think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, if the
It's-
experience in the
okay,
world are good.
No, but you're saying the whole game is difficult. I mean, if it was
It's
a
not like
progression,
ridiculously difficult. It's
Okay.
not like a kind of like it isn't like Simon.
But if you hadn't have
Sorcerer
done
or whatever it
the
is.
tips, I mean, obviously they intend you to use that, I suppose, because they've included
why
it
would
in
you
the game,
include it?
which is good.
Yeah.
So I mean, I forgive them that. But going back to the LucasArts thing, there's so many frustrating moments of those games. Where and also it's worse because they've got the dialogue, and it's the same bloody line of dialogue every time.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that doesn't go with that. No, that doesn't go. Like so, Grim Fandango, it's always like. That's my scythe. It's where my heart used to be. Or something. You hear that so many times.
Yeah,
By the end
after
of
a
it,
while,
you're just
you're
like
just
ripping
kinda
your
like,
head off. Your own face.
Can we really, it's who's QA tested this? Oh, it's the people who made it who know what happens. Like,
how
surely
to
that's
do
what's
it.
happened.
Yeah.
This is easy. we
Got their
made
little
this.
thought bubbles above their heads on Machinarium.
Yeah, they do.
Like,
And they have pictures, and that gives you a clue and a hint of what's going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, it takes a while to get into the swing of it. But once you do, and I think because it's such a fun little world to be in, and it's such a nice place, and it looks so visually appealing, you kind of give it the benefit of the doubt. And I think that's when we were talking about South Park as well. And like, you like being there, so therefore the little annoyances you can kind of forgive them really. And I think often when I really hate a game, it's because I really hate being in the world, or I hate the character, or I hate this, and you're just less forgiving. I find you just like all the little annoyances you kind of. They're just magnified like by a mile. And I think this game is a perfect example of that because it's not perfect. It's kind of annoying.
One of the things I would say about it is that the art style is amazing and the environments are really well done. But in some ways, the environments are so detailed; it's difficult to know what things you can interact with.
They're very intricate, aren't they? It's it's busy. They're very busy.
It's not immediately obvious, so you have to sort of hover over everything and.
Yeah, you have to really explore. But it's not huge. It's not like you're going miles around. But when you go up to the city and you're going into the bigger areas, then it gets a little bit like kind of you're having to remember where you put this here and where you got that there. Like when you're trying to put the band together and you've got to get all the different instruments, and it's like, wow, okay, where have I got that from? And then this from here. But
it sounds like effort.
Do you get a gun at any point?
So you can just gun down all the other robots.
Got no boobs in it.
Not even robot boobs.
It's not even got robot boobs in it.
It's
got robo boobs.
Robo
Robo
boobs.
You know.
Robo boobies.
But are we really saying robo boobies?
It's quite
started
satisfying to say.
So check it out. How are we doing this?
I know we're not really doing continuously
Oh,
these
right.
ones. We're just
Well,
saying.
check it out.
Check it out.
These are basically by bringing them to the fore. We're kind of saying we like them anyway.
Yeah,
So
I think
there
it's
you
a really cool game. I think it's a really interesting game. I think it's a different pace to a lot of things that are out there, and it's got to be being smashed in the face by Call of Duty every 5 minutes.
Well, that's true. It's a bit more thoughtful than that, isn't it? I was going to do a very thoughtful game too in the Swapper.
Oh,
Has anyone else played the
Yeah.
Swapper?
I have actually,
I
yeah.
played it now.
Yeah.
Heard of it now.
It was free, wasn't it?
free,
Am I
yeah.
making
Yeah,
that
I
up?
think
Yeah.
it's-
I don't think
it's
it.
last game.
No, I don't think it is anymore. It's
Last
a
month,
now.
I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
you've missed your time in the sun. How
As
did you
usual.
not get the free game and you just pay for
Because I
it?
don't pay attention to anything.
I'm there every month.
I'm there every
Yeah.
day.
I bet you are.
What's there
Come on.
today? Then again, no one else played Battlefield Hardline either. Admittedly,
Oh, no, I
it's
did. I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
I didn't look you up
It
on
looks
it.
Yeah,
awful,
yeah.
Battlefield Hardline.
Is that the police one?
Yeah, I thought it was alright.
It looks like the crappiest
It's
episode
just
of CSI I've ever
it's
seen.
Battlefield all over again with a few
Yeah.
different things thrown
Skin
into
change,
it,
isn't it? I just kind of think.
You guys, it's an advert. You guys are the great cops, but you're making a big mess. What? Seriously? Is this
Sam
taking a
Bolton.
piss?
Was that CIS? Or,
No,
CSI, CIS.
CSI. You expect that guy who goes like, it sounds like a murder, and murder is my business.
That's Columbo.
Bang, bang, bang. No, that's not bloody Columbo.
One more thing,
It's-
Lieutenant. That's Columbo.
That is
Just my-
Columbo.
Anyway, it's all crap anyway, so. But I haven't played
So
it.
there we go. So Battlefield Hardline's not out yet. It's
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah,
don't bother.
Don't bother. Just
Yeah, don't bother.
Just get a cup and ball.
The beta was pretty good, but don't bother with it. It's shit. Anyway,
get a big package.
What did I say? The Swapper.
Swapper, yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really like talking about thoughtful games. Man, that is the most ridiculously like esoteric, thoughtful game I've ever played really. Like, so the whole premise of the Swapper, and there isn't much going on into like the storyline drips out in every time you walk past these kind of stones which are actually alive. It's a really weird concept, but the point of the game is that someone's created a device which makes clones of yourself, and you can put your very soul into the clones. You only make 4 at a time. And the puzzles are all around how you arrange these 4 clones and manage to beam into each one to get to these orbs that unlock the next bit of the game. And to tell you their head scratches is something else. They're kind of like head smacking on the table sometimes because it's that hard. But then you kind of get the kind of eureka like moment, and when it all comes together and you realise that. And there's all like these extra things put in. So sometimes there's like a red light or a blue light, and it means you can't beam your soul in, or you can't create a copy there and things like that. So there's all obviously there's switches on the floor a lot. So you got to get a clone on the switch. But then if you move, the clone moves too. So it just becomes this game of just hell. But it's also really sort of entertaining and absorbing when you're in that world. And the world is. It's a bit like a side-scrolling Alien game in a way. I mean, it's that kind of, that feel to it.
I really liked it actually.
Yeah.
The general look of it, and like you said, the feel of just the kind of atmosphere. It's like going down in this cave.
Empty but full, if that's a stupid thing to say.
I think it was.
Has anyone finished it? Because I've not got to the end yet.
Oh, yeah.
You have finished it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's,
So I won't give the ending away, but you have to make a choice at the end. So that's all I'm saying. And it's quite.
I don't think I am going to continue with it. I don't
you
get
don't
it that much. I mean,
it
was cool, but I don't think I was really that bothered about.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's one of those ones that I just. And I like this about some games that you can just dive into them whenever. There's no kind of learning curve. You've learned the system. You know how things work, so it doesn't really matter. You can just go. So we were talking about Far Cry. I mean, and the fact that with sometimes, not even Far Cry, but some games they tell you one thing at the tutorial, and you're supposed to remember that somehow for the rest of that game. And then there's a moment when it happens.
With Mordor, I haven't played Shadow of Mordor for so long. I went back to playing it last week, and I was just like, I have absolutely no idea what any of these.
And I've got Mordor Gathering Dust at the moment on my shelf because I'm like. I can't go back into it right now. I just don't know. I haven't got the patience to remember how to play it.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what, it didn't take me too long to get back into it. But it was very much like, right. I can't even remember how to hit someone.
Kill out. Alright, mate, it all comes back to me now.
The whole stealth thing, like, I completely lost doing any kind of stealth. I was just like, right, I'll just run around slashing everyone.
So the worst game for that is any Resident Evil game, because you go away for a couple of weeks and you come back and you say, okay, I've got 3 keys. Where the hell was I going? And it's just, you might as well start again.
And you just...
It's like you've been on holiday and you come back from work, back to work, you're like, what do I do?
So when you went on a school holiday and you're like, how do you write? I can't remember anymore. My worst game for that is, and it could be any of these in the series, but Dark Souls 2. So I was absolutely whizzing my way through Dark Souls 2. I hit a terrible moment where I just couldn't do anything with it. And then I suddenly burst through that and I killed boss after boss after boss without really having like a massive challenge. And in Dark Souls, that's... I don't know if any of you guys... You guys haven't really played much, have you?
No.
But man, because the bosses are virtually impossible to beat, and when you suddenly get on a roll with it and you progress it, and then I went on holiday for a week, and I've not been able to play it since because I can't resume it now because it's too hard to resume. So
you've got to play your way in, haven't you, really?
So getting back to the Swapper, what's brilliant about it is because there's nothing chasing you or killing you, at least it doesn't become that in the end, no. So you're completely left to your own devices. You can rediscover the world and the controls at your leisure, and it's just a really lovely game I find it like it's my Sunday morning game basically. Before the missus gets up, I kind of whack it in for a couple of hours and. Oh my god!
Ding 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 ding! That's definitely
I whack out the small package into
Oh wait a minute! I'm not there. I'm not getting involved in this Sunday morning.
Oh my god!
That's the best innuendo we've had so far.
That's not even
Oh my god! It's South Park all over it.
Oh dear God! This is where we've fallen to, guys.
I enjoyed it. It's quite a short game as well, which is quite good.
But if you can't work out the puzzles, it's actually a really long game. Some of them take a long bloody time to do, don't they?
I did YouTube a couple of times.
I've not
just because I get to the point where,
I can't cheat on games. It's an OCD thing.
But the
I
thing
can't
is,
do it.
because I play on my Vita on the train, so I played this on the Vita.
Apparently it's hard on the Vita because it's a lot of a smaller.
Exactly.
We're going back to the whole same point again. So you can't see.
Whole different game.
No, but what I've heard on from like reading a few reviews and that on the Vita version is because there's a lot to take in. The environments are massive, and there's a very small degree sometimes that you can like beam into the next clone and stuff. So it's a lot harder on the Vita because it's
That's
small.
what I'm saying. Yeah. But if I'm
It helps if you're not inept, obviously.
obviously, yeah.
But
But if I'm on the train and my journey's just started,
And
I'm
you're-
completely stuck.
you're
I just
juddering
think,
on the
what-
train.
You know, I just want to get past it. So
can we just go off a complete tangent just for a second?
Yes.
Train games. My go-to game at the moment, tragically, on the Vita is like Hot Shots. Everybody's Golf 2. Or Everybody's Golf. That's what I literally have spent like 100, 200, 300 hours. I couldn't even begin to count the number out. It's a lot. It's many hundreds of hours.
surely you've played every.
I've played. I've played every hole. Because you can actually beat all the courses in the way that you get these like crowns for doing it in a certain way.
But then, Mike, they're not real. You know that, don't you?
I can't.
You don't get real.
It's like Pokemon. It's like chin Pokemon. I've got to get them all.
Man.
I can't stop myself. It's so addictive. That game.
Yeah, that is weird though. That is golf. I mean,
But then Mario Golf. If I'd have come out and said Mario Golf, everyone would have gone, "No, that's fair enough."
Although my go-to train game at the moment is Desert Golf.
Golf buddy.
No, so
What is that? Is it like
hang on.
Desert Strike and golf combined?
Sounds like you're constantly in a bunker.
It's
Desert
a
Strike.
side-scrolling desert golfing. It's a side-scrolling golf game, and it just goes on and on.
I like the way we're all looking
I'm
at
just
it.
gonna
This
check-
is good video,
I'm just going
guys.
to check what hole I'm on hole
You see,
2,834.
my version of golf is much better than yours.
It just carries on forever like this.
Christ.
But I'm also playing through Broken Sword 5 at the moment.
All right, yeah.
That's, speaking of point
We're
and click
proper old school, aren't we? We're all playing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm in playing Grim Fandango, which is a good conversion. I don't know. The graphics have been upscaled very slightly, and at least it works. It used to crash all the time on the PC back in the day.
Do you reckon the upscale graphics on Grim Fandango look any good? I thought they looked shit.
I kind of sometimes put it back into the old version because you can flip between the old and the new, and sometimes it feels like they've got more texture to them. The characters.
They've kept it 4x3 as well, haven't they? Which I know.
No,
is
you
kind
can
of
change
like-
it. You can make it 16:9.
Oh,
You go
okay.
to
It
the
just stretches
Yeah.
it though, doesn't it?
Your eyes get
It-
used to it
it's
pretty
going to imbalance to stretch it a little bit.
Yeah, but your eyes get used to it very quickly. I don't notice it much.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, when they announced it and they did this sort of whole trailer for it, I thought, really? Remaster? I mean, that
I
looks
think
The backgrounds don't change at all.
no, so it's
'cause-
just a character model.
Yeah, it's
isn't
just a
it?
character.
Is it?
And the best thing about it, actually, I'm doing 2 games. How awesome am I?
You
Best
can
thing
do
about
mine
it.
if you want.
All right, what are you doing? The best thing about it is it's got a commentary with Tim Schafer and all the other guys who worked on it, and that's genuinely as funny as the game.
Do you not I go back to Monkey Island. It's probably my favourite game of all time. the Monkey
1 or
Island
2?
games. Both of them. 1 and 2. I think two.
I like 2 more than 1.
Well, 2 was 2 probably was better, but 2 got a bit ridiculous towards the end. Like that got a bit difficult.
That's the
things
whole
you had
like
to
when
start
it's
putting
a
together.
roller coaster. Oh no, there's a bit where the truck's running around. You gotta like get a bit off him and
Oh, yeah,
change
yeah,
it into a voodoo doll and
create
all
the
that
voodoo
crap.
doll,
Yeah,
yeah.
got it.
They're great games. And the remaster versions of those, so I've got those on my iPads.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to forget how to
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
and you can flick back and forth with the graphics. On
Yeah,
those too,
yeah.
can't you?
Now
Right.
that was a great example of something that has been properly put back in, and that was it. Whereas I thought Grim Fandango, don't really think they spent that much
But
time.
I don't think it needed it much because it looked so good anyway.
I don't know, did it?
It's
To
not
bring
that
it
kind
to
of game,
bring it
though,
up,
is
though.
it?
I feel like it
Well,
stands up.
it doesn't need it. It doesn't need graphics. It's not a graphics-based game. But I kind of think if you're going to remaster it, I don't know. I just think
But yeah.
Or draw the new background. But the thing is, they make such a big thing
Bit
in the
of
commentary
effort.
about the way they made the environment, and it was cutting edge at the time, and no one else had quite done
Yeah.
the way they did handled. Because it was the first 3D adventure game.
Yeah, do you know what as well? I remember when I was a kid, I really wanted to buy Grim Fandango. I've never played it.
I've still got my
because
PC
I s-
version from
I
back
couldn't-
in the
I could
day.
never afford it. I couldn't afford Grim Fandango, and it always remained at a really high price. It never came down.
I can just imagine little Dave.
Yeah,
You shot window.
yeah, that was exactly
Looking
it.
at Manny Calvera, the sort of
That's it. I
weird
think
skeleton.
I could never really afford it, and I think
Got
probably
his
my
sweets money.
the game I probably ended up buying, or I remember spending an awful lot of money on, was Theme Park. I think it was the
Oh,
first.
Theme Park was
first-
awesome. I got that for
Amazing,
Christmas.
I remember
when
it came on 6 floppy discs. Oh. But yeah, I
But
spent an
Monkey
awful lot
Island
on it.
came on maybe
That was before
7 or 8.
Yeah.
Monkey
you
Island.
remember?
I can't remember why we had Monkey Island. I think because I don't know. I bought it. I think that must.
Monkey
be
Island
something
2
my
I'm
dad
probably
had or
thinking
something.
about, but that was on tons of different, it was like 7 discs, 8 discs or something.
That was such an awesome game.
That's kind of like, and gotta get it, put it in. I can remember trying to load, I think it was Doom onto a
That was on one disc, surely, Doom.
Yeah, that's
No.
wasn't it?
No, I had,
Yeah.
I think. Well, I had a ripped copy.
Yeah.
Doom,
Quick, someone phone the police.
Doom 2 maybe was on more than... I don't know, actually. Because you could get it on shareware, though, couldn't you?
That's the only version I
Yeah.
had of it for years, was a shareware version of Doom. I never
You
had
see
the full
that
game.
selfies thing in Doom?
Yeah,
Story
that was
game?
weird.
Yeah, that is odd, isn't it?
What's that?
There was some selfies. It was on like some of the news sites, and you can take selfies in Doom for some reason, like as if you'd want to.
Like, it's weird because they're still modding Doom after all these years,
No,
which is
well,
pretty amazing.
Classic, isn't it?
Anyway, so the Swapper, yeah, check it out. It's a Sunday morning game. It's awesome.
Yeah, but don't do what
There's
Mike
your-
does.
there's your line
On
right
Sunday
there.
morning,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, don't surprise
Whack
your
it in.
partner. Don't surprise your partner by whacking off with a Swapper on Saturday
I
morning.
said I'd whack it on a Sunday morning.
I think it's a whack it
that's,
in.
that's a
Yeah,
hard...
you said
Whack
whack
it
it
in.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which made it.
Before she wakes up, you
Well,
said.
actually, that was my mistake.
Don't do that.
That was my mistake, because actually
no.
it's a
a
digital
great
game.
He's not
It's
gonna appreciate
impossible.
Semen stains are so persistent.
Oh. This is another podcast I won't be showing to my mum.
Go on,
All right,
then,
Jack, over to
So
you.
I
Surprise us, delight us.
So I played a game called Life is Strange, which,
Yeah, I'm interested.
when you think about it,
God, what are you doing playing new
Yeah.
games? Like, you should have been one from 7
I know.
years ago, like
yeah,
Andy.
this game is only 2 weeks old.
6 years ago.
Get me.
Okay, you missed the money.
Yeah.
Episodic.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, Mr. Money. Yeah. So this
Isn't
is.
there a movie out called oh no, it's Love is Strange with John Lithgow and
Oh,
Alfred
yeah, it's like
Molina.
a gay romance.
Is that got anything to do with it?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Maybe that comes into
Has it got a
play.
gay romance in it?
Maybe.
Well, have you played it?
It's about a lady, a girl. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
so
I don't know
basically-
much about it. Go on,
So
tell me.
yeah, it's an episodic game in the vein of the Telltale games.
Oh,
In fact, it's got
Mike's
so
favourite.
exactly. I think Mike will be playing this.
You know what? We all said
Michael
that.
still have his coat on
I've
when he
neither
gets out
played
and plays.
Borderlands nor whatever the other new one is.
Game of Thrones.
Game of
isn't it?
Thrones. Yeah, I've played Walking Dead and Fable, which was my favourite one.
Yeah.
But I only played the first two of them.
They managed to make
And
a
then it
good
got a bit
Fable
disappointed.
game, which Peter Molyneux never did.
Oh, it's Fables, not Fable. But okay.
Oh, is it actually Fable?
Speaking of Peter Molyneux, we've got to probably comment on that.
Yeah.
Did you see that story this week about like the guy who won? He had this competition ages ago to be in Goddess, his latest game, and basically they said from the sales or something of it, they would pay the guy who won this competition like some of the royalties from it every year. Like they've literally not spoken to the guy ever since, and just kind of pretended it never happened. And like
pretty shit.
Peter Molyneux has just been crucified all week, which
Because he said
It's
that
kind of
they, I think as I understand it, they didn't make enough money on Kickstarter, so he signed with the publisher. So all deals were null and void,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't actually take the things. But basically, I think he said on Kickstarter, and this might not be right, but he said on Kickstarter that we'll go with it, we'll never sign for a publisher. And then, of course,
But I think that is right. But didn't
Yeah.
it make loads more money on Kickstarter than they asked for?
yeah,
That's the
but
problem.
The Rock Paper
quite
Shotgun
crazy.
thing, which was really good. He said, "Well, surely you know how much this game is going to cost. I mean, surely you've costed it up.
and he's a very experienced man. I mean, he's worked at so many
30 years in the
yeah.
industry, back to
Man and
Populous,
Yeah. All the way to bloody Fable.
Fable, yeah, which everyone was. The last one, that was an absolute mess.
Did you hear how he started? Because I hadn't heard the story before. Like how he got into the computer industry.
No.
So he had a company selling baked beans, foreign baked beans, basically. So I think he was buying them cheap and selling them over here.
Yeah.
And his company name was something like, I can't remember what it was, but let's call it Molyneux, even though it wasn't that. And then
Molyneux beans.
there was some computer.
Full of guff.
Oh, I'm hungry already. Full of guff, yeah, exactly. But so then there was also this other computer company called Molyneux, whatever.
But they call them Molyneux's magic beans.
They weren't. Nobody. Yeah, okay. Let's call them. This wasn't the name of the company at all, but I can't remember. I'm just blanking on what they were called. And some computer company wanted a database built, so they approached his company thinking it was the other company who made these databases.
Is that actually true?
Yeah, and then he just went with it. He just turned up for the
Jeez.
meeting and said, "Yeah, we'll do that, no problem." And they sent him a load of Amstrad computers. I think it was Amstrad, or that's how he got started.
Jesus.
So yeah,
The man's a real
that would have been a
chancer.
much better story if I could have remembered some of the details.
I think
Anyway,
it's-
life is strange.
Yeah.
It is strange,
Life
isn't
is
it?
pretty
Whoa,
strange.
eh?
Yeah.
Molyneux's life is pretty strange.
Yeah.
He is, yeah.
I bet he wishes he was an episode.
So go on. So it's,
game.
you play like a teenage girl or something, do you, in this game?
Yeah, so you are a teenage girl in college in the United States of America.
Where's that?
It's
North of South America.
It's kind of.
Oh, it's south of Canada, isn't it?
South of Canada. It's the bit between Canada and Mexico.
Yeah. It's west of here. You can't.
I've never been there.
So yes, you're a young girl in college going through college stuff, and you're kind of shy. And you're taking.
Jack.
Supposed to feel sorry.
I also thought that about you. You have a sensitive side.
And you're taking a photography course, which is it's kind of weird because it's set in modern day, but it feels like it's set in the 90s. Because first of all, you're taking a photography course, and your camera of choice is a Polaroid, which is.
But that's cool.
But you can't even get Polaroid film anymore, can you?
Yeah,
you can.
I thought it stopped making it.
No, they've brought it back for all the hipsters.
It's like Holga cameras have come back massively, like pinhole cameras and everything. I've got one.
Okay.
I'm a hipster.
Of course you have. Yeah.
But if you were taking a photography course, you wouldn't use a bloody Polaroid, would you? Unless you're doing model shots.
That's not a thing, is it?
A selfie course.
Polaroid
a
course.
photography course.
Oh, I thought you said selfie course. I was like, oh, please don't tell me that's a thing.
No, that's not.
I bet
What would that
it is a thing.
be? The selfie course.
Oh, you're a nice selfie. Oh, you used a stick. You cheater.
No sticks in the exam room. But one of the funny you should say that because so you sort of have this dream to start off with. There's a big hurricane and stuff, and then it goes into the real world, and you wake up at your desk in the classroom.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
So there's two worlds basically.
Well, it's like a dream world. She's having a dream. So you wake up at your desk in this photography class. You've got the teacher droning on, and he's a massive wanker. But so then you're sat at your desk, and there's like options.
Oh, Dave, lights going.
Well, I wonder why. Remember that point.
Options.
Did that just start?
Oh, it's because it's on dual slot. Yeah,
We all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on what?
Dual slot recording.
Oh, dual slots.
But don't worry,
It's my favourite. It's my
I love a
favourite
dual
website.
slot.
I've put in a 32 gig, guys. Don't worry, we're
All right,
fine.
we'll go all night.
There's double penetration.
So, So yeah, so the game starts. You wake up at your desk in the photography class that you're taking, and you're sat at your desk, and you can see like a diary in front of you and stuff. And there's options to interact with them, like in a Walking Dead game. You can read your diary. You can sort of look at someone over there, and there's your Polaroid camera. And one of the first things you can do is take a selfie. And immediately my back was up.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this game.
Too old for this shit.
Exactly, yeah. And then so you can take a selfie with your Polaroid camera. But the premise of the game is basically.
Wouldn't it be cool if you had a PlayStation 4 camera and the picture that came out was of you playing the game?
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. In your pants.
That's
So then-
no place.
The premise of the game is that for some reason you've got this magic power, which
like
isn't
magic
explained in the
powers.
first episode, where you can rewind time.
It's not explained in the first episode.
Every time it does it sing, if I could turn.
Yeah. Have you played it?
If I could
Yeah.
find a way.
Does Cher come in a stocking?
on a battleship.
Oh yeah, she's literally just like over a battleship with her legs straddle, doesn't she?
It's like bloody hell, woman.
That's when they
A
have
bit
money
of
for music
dignity.
videos, but
Yeah.
no like computer graphics. Oh, just stick
No,
with
I think Cher was a computer graphic in that scene.
You wouldn't want to go on the poop deck after that.
So anyway, so you can. So the main play mechanic is you can turn back time. Oh god, now that bloody song! It's in my head constantly. I have to think of another way of saying it. So you can go back in time, and which has a bearing on how you act in the world. So the first chance you get to use it, you're in the toilets, the lady toilets, and someone comes in and shoots another girl.
What?
Pretty
And you
full
can
on.
turn back
Wow.
I don't know what your college days were like, but mine were not that exciting. So then,
One time a lad chopped his finger off in the toilet door.
Really?
That was
In the
exciting.
toilet
They made us all go to
door?
assembly.
Yeah, I've never had anything like that. That's like the most boring soundbite ever.
Also, one time in my English school, when I was at secondary school, a girl got up and slapped the English teacher.
Wow.
She got expelled.
Well, you're from up there, aren't you?
Yeah.
You see, we
Manchester.
of course.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Dodd in my home ex class, someone put the grill on, and she didn't turn the spark. She pulled the grill down, pressed the button, and a fireball.
Oh,
came out of her face.
that's awesome.
We all laughed.
Did it take her moustache off?
Yeah, she went to the toilet. She was really flustered. It had taken the front of her hair off, and she had to draw her eyebrows on. It was funny at the time, but I now that's.
She's probably not watching unless she's one of the 200 people.
Did she draw on angry eyebrows?
Yeah, she just had one up here.
A sad,
As if she was like,
one.
Guys, I couldn't pull this expression, so I had to draw it on.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. See, I'm really angry
Your
now.
forehead was
Hang on,
really red.
I'm surprised. Hey! That's going to make no sense on the audio version, is it? But anyway,
No,
That's
yeah.
all right.
so, man, the writing's a bit clunky, but to be fair, I don't know how teenage girls speak because I don't hang around
No.
teenage girls. So, but what?
Thank God.
For the record.
But it's a bit like Hollyoaks, the video game, if you can imagine that.
No, that sounds like hell to me.
So, like one of the first posters you look at has, what does that say in all caps?
Twerking reference.
There's a twerking reference. That means nothing. to me
Miley
anymore.
Cyrus.
Well, I know what it is, but you know.
I've never seen twerking.
I've kind of
I think I like it.
lost the. I feel like twerking's lost its momentum a little bit anyway, because that was a sort of strange viral thing that happened.
She's probably doing something else these
Well, the thing
days.
is, Miley Cyrus is that was the element that made it kind of a thing, and then everyone went crazy with twerking, and twerking
I
was
know,
like
I
a thing.
did.
Whereas now, when it gets done, it's almost like the BBC News doing a bit on twerking to be young.
Anything cool when
Is
anyone
that-
over the age of 20 or 25 maybe gets into it,
So
it
what?
becomes very, very
Yeah.
uncool.
Yeah, that's it, and it's a bit like it's become one of those things. I mean, it was never really cool twerking, but it's become one of those things that now, I guess people found it funny, and that's kind of just like, oh, get over it.
What's the difference between twerking and crumping? Because crumping looks exactly the
I don't know
same.
what crumping
Crumping?
is.
Crumping. You must have seen crumping with the crazy clowns.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anyway, this
Wow.
video game. So I've also put here. They talk like the internet because they just talk in memes and like you
Yeah.
talk to people and they go, "Oh, I'm hella pissed." You
Oh
think,
man, I tell you what, this game
Surely
sounds
Heller was
like my
created in
nightmare.
South Park. Talking about South Park once again.
Oh,
Like,
I
that was
don't
created in
know.
Why
South Park
did you
about
play this
10
game?
years ago.
I thought
wasn't
that,
it?
to be fair, when I was playing through it, I thought, "Oh, I enjoyed that," and then. After I'd do you ever get this? After I'd played it, I was thinking,
Wait a
"Oh, that
minute.
really annoyed me."
Yeah, that was
Because
Because-
if it tricked you.
but the thing is-
So will you not buy the next one?
I probably will to see where it goes. But the language and the way they speak, I don't know if that's how people speak in college in America.
I'll
I've
tell
got
you
no
what,
idea.
the second episode, why don't you bring a puppy and sweets and see where you go, Jack?
Okay, all right. Yeah, so like because the tone of the way they speak is just like really sarcastic and just like it's a bit like kind of like early 90s slacker chewed. They're like,
Yeah.
oh man, you know, I can't be bothered to do this, and I can't work out if they're being sincere or sarcastic.
Especially like
most of
smoked
the game.
dope and
You go to your friend's house and her friend's got like a sort of army sergeant stepdad
Okay.
who she calls
yeah.
she calls him like the step douche.
Oh, okay.
And she smokes pot in her bedroom
Okay,
because
kind
she's
of
because she's
realistic.
extreme.
Yeah.
And
But
then you put on some music and dance on her bed to Sparkle Horse. The whole thing's really weird because it almost feels like it's set in the mid-90s. But then
it's
it's
a bit dated, doesn't it? Like, I mean, like, what's the plan? Who's made it? And like, is it going to be?
It's
an
made
episode
by
every-
So it's made by Don't Nod, who made Remember Me. If anyone remembers
Okay,
that.
yeah.
yeah, I didn't play it though, but I know it got pretty good reviews. No, sorry, Remember Me, it's a French game, isn't it? Where you have the bits of fighting and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. Yeah, I did play it. Yeah.
Was it
I
like
don't-
quite
I don't know
impressive?
Left a massive.
No,
yeah.
It's one of those games I play for like maybe 3 hours and went no.
Yeah, so
And they're releasing like episodes every like.
well, that's another thing that annoys me. It's episodic. I think there's 5 episodes, and it's every 2 months.
right.
So imagine watching a TV show and it ends on a cliffhanger, and then it says tune in 2 months' time. So
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
watching Broadchurch like that, you go insane.
Man, I go insane between the week for Broadchurch
Exactly, yeah.
sometimes.
Last episode. Next
Actually, I go insane during the show half the time
Well,
on
that's true.
Broadchurch.
Watch
But the advert
That's
breaks.
good.
You should watch it. It's good TV.
Yeah, it's good TV.
It's very good.
So that's kind of frustrating playing through because I prefer to play things once they've all been out. So I did that with both Walking Dead seasons because I could just,
binge.
Exactly, binge, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will definitely play the next episode, but I don't know if the problem is with me or with the game in terms of the language.
Maybe we could return
Yeah.
to this
Yeah, we
for a
could-
little
What are you doing in
aside
2
to
months'
an
time?
episode. Talking to you about it.
Yeah.
Probably. depressingly.
All right, Dave. This brings us speedily to you. For the last game.
So I played Never Alone, which is a puzzle platformer, which is actually, it's not too dissimilar. No, that's not right. It is dissimilar.
Dave just had a conversation in his head.
Okay, so
Shall we go?
you play as a girl. I looked up her name. You play as a girl called Nuna, I think. You play as a girl called Nuna and a fox, who we'll call Fox, who's an Arctic fox who can do different things to what Nuna can do. The idea of the game is that you are looking for, there's a blizzard, and what you're doing is you're looking for the source of the blizzard. It was put together by sort of stories that have been told from actual tribes people of this very particular tribe from Alaska. Yeah, and it's quite interesting on that basis. And actually, there's a really interesting thing where there's the mythology behind it all is entirely based on the stories they used to tell from these tribes people.
Okay,
and what ties the game together a bit more, which actually I really like as well, is that like Valiant Hearts that we reviewed, that you've got those little nuggets that you getting slapped in the face with Wikipedia.
Like history and stuff.
The history stuff, but they do it as documentary, like actual film documentary about this tribe. So it was. I did read today. I don't know how true this is. That there's not the funding of the game, but the game is there to sort of to promote this tribe and not forget the history of this whole thing, and sort of to promote the kind of you never hear about this tribe any other way. It's not like a kind of something you'd ever get taught.
So what do you do?
So,
Mike's
honestly, you don't really do an awful lot. It's a puzzle platform. You jump up on things. You work out how to get your character to the next point, either using the fox. You can switch between the two characters. So you can switch between the fox and the thing at any point of the game. So the fox can jump a bit higher, and the fox can climb up walls or something like that. Whereas your other player the girl can move boxes and climb ladders.
That's such a great skill for video game characters.
Move boxes.
Wow.
I mean, I tell you what, there's not.
I've never seen it before.
It's a very kind of like. It's very simple. You sort of running, jumping, all that kind of stuff. It's very simple in terms of like gameplay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You do have further on in the game, you get this kind of like thing you spin around a throw, and it breaks things, and that adds another little element to it. And
You're selling this game to me.
well,
How much I must buy it?
the thing is though, like, I don't really feel like I should be selling it to you, because I mean, if you've seen what it looks like, you kind of get the gist of the game. That's exactly what it's like. It's not the longest game in the world.
Google it now.
It's I mean, it does look really nice, and the atmosphere is really nice.
It looks like Tinder on Andy's phone.
Oh, it had to happen, didn't it?
That's the only app he's got.
It had to have happened, didn't it?
But like, yeah, I don't know.
Is it soothing? Is it like soul food?
Yeah, that's exactly
Is
it
it
actually,
like
and actually, what I felt in terms of Valiant Hearts, actually, when I played Valiant Hearts, was the same kind of process.
Like a Kami in a weird
It
way.
does look like a Kami.
Yeah, you played a Kami.
No.
That's an amazing game.
That's
you
like
play
Zelda, but you're a
You're a dog. You're a wolf, and then you roaming around. It's like a Japanese art style world, and you've got to do like painting to make like spells, don't you? You know, like you do.
I'm pretty sure this is nowhere near as
well, it doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't sound
like
as
style,
interesting.
though.
Yeah.
It's cool, and actually the fox can speak to the spirits. So you've got to do the puzzles. The spirits basically become live platforms if you find them and move them in certain
It looks
ways.
like Journey, like because you played Journey, have you?
No. Oh no, is that that's not with the two? I'm thinking.
Nah, you
Brothers.
need to play Journey. Brothers,
Yeah,
it looks a
yeah.
bit like Brothers too. Actually.
Yeah,
It's
it's not like that,
it does look similar to.
I mean, it's
If
good.
you've not played Journey, by the way, you need to probably leave.
I've not played Journey.
Oh my god!
So if
why
you're
have
going to
you
kick
not
Dave out,
played
you're going to
Journey?
kick me out as well.
Have you played it? Journey.
Yeah.
Have you finished it? Like,
No.
Oh my god! What's wrong with you people?
I mean,
It's the best 2 hours of your life, basically.
Oh, 2 hours.
In a gaming way.
I started it, but then got distracted by something else.
What? Tinder?
Too easy. Too easy. But I can't not recommend it. I think it's a nice.
I can't not recommend.
Well, wait a minute.
Basically, what I'm saying is I can't really
What if
recommend
Barry
it.
Norman said that?
I can't not recommend it.
I can't say like, oh yeah, go out and buy that game because I think it cost me 11 quid, which I know.
For Dave
This
White,
is the thing with the
that's
so-called
a
like
lot of
indie
money.
digital games. They sometimes do rack up
But
the
then,
money. Like
they
the
can
cost.
be quite
There's
pricey.
a couple of things I think. Well, what am I expecting? Am I expecting, this incredible story? Because it's got a story to it, and it's a puzzle platform. I mean, what else do
But
I?
you could have got Journey for probably like the same amount.
But I think everything about it's so simple, and there's something about that I kind of think that's nice, but that's also very simple. And I think that was that sort of so. Yeah.
How long is it? Have you finished it yet?
I haven't finished it yet, but I think it's about 5 hours. I don't think it's a massively long game.
Same as the order. That's 50 quid.
You get to kill werewolves in that.
See, quit or continue news.
No, it's not. And actually, I tell you what I did think. Thought of you.
That's nice, isn't it?
Because in the start of the game, you can't turn left because a polar bear chases you.
What? Can you not kill the polar bear? You've got a gun, I assume.
You can't kill the polar bear.
Have you
No, you've got a
Can
speed
you not
thing,
throw
but
the
that comes
fox
out
at it?
later.
Go get the polar bear.
And in fact, the fox is the
Lob
thing
the
that saves
fox.
you from the polar bear to begin with. That's how it introduces the fox.
Clever.
Do you know what? When I looked at this though, I thought, have you seen Ori and the Black Forest or something?
Yeah, it looks cool.
I think it looks amazing actually. It looks, but I wanted something a little bit like that from this. I don't know why. I just sort of, I don't know. I kind of just made that assumption that that's the kind of thing it would be a bit like, and it's nothing really like that. I mean, it's nice, but it's not incredible.
Nice.
It's nice.
Wow, what a conclusion at the end of our discussion.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know what you want me to say.
It's fine.
I'm going to say
It's
get
nice.
Journey. Journey is it sounds like exactly the game you're looking for, but it's amazing. So it's fully what you want
This
to
is
get.
not buying advice, Mike. It's not like we're not upselling it.
I can recommend something that's worth playing though.
Have you tried some gold-plated HDMI cables?
Mind you, having said I've only played it the one time because it's unique when you play it through.
I always look at reviews when I'm playing games, and I think
Interesting.
this has got like
Do you ever listen to podcasts as well?
no, that shit. No, but I am reading reviews about this, and there's some people absolutely like, oh, this is incredible. It's like and I think everyone played on the niceness of it. And actually, I saw some guy had written, oh, this is exactly the kind of game my girlfriend liked. And I thought, do you know what? That's exactly the same thing that happened to me. My girlfriend really liked it. And I thought, what does that say? She's not really into
games. You haven't got the same
games.
girlfriend, have you?
Well,
That'd be my first thought.
Going back to Columbo,
now
that
you
was
say
exactly.
she does spend an awful lot of time out of the house. But yeah, and I just kind of thought that's kind of what it is. It's a nice game that my girlfriend likes, and that's not a bad thing, but it's not.
Chicks can like different games, by the way.
Chicks!
Let's not get
Keep digging.
let's not get sexist. Although there's nothing wrong with saying chicks.
Yeah, that's not sexist. I just think that's a very.
Well, that's a podcast for a whole other.
Yeah, we need to debate that at some point.
Yeah, let's debate. We're the best people to debate.
Let's
that.
get to the bottom of Gamergate.
We
are the boys to do it.
That
Anyway.
sounds dangerous.
It's getting late.
That sounds dangerous.
What time is it? 1 in the morning already.
Oops.
Oh well, there's probably
Anyway.
hitmen waiting for us outside. Cool.
Hit women if you don't mind.
Hit women. We don't do hit women, do we? Oh well. Anything else to say on the subject of any of the things
I was just
we've
going to say
discussed?
one more thing on mine, just because I didn't mention it earlier. So I said it's like a Telltale game. It's exactly like a Telltale game. At the end of the episode, you see what choices other people made and the percentage. So it's like they've looked at Telltale games and thought, well, we could probably do that.
So who did what?
I always feel disappointed when my option was the one that everyone else chose.
Yeah, I do too.
I always want to go against.
I always remember on The Walking Dead, one of the very first things you've got to do is choose between like a bloke and a girl, like a reasonably, in gaming terms, attractive girl, and then like a sort of fat bloke, and I saved the fat bloke, and no one did that. Like 10% or something of people saved the fat bloke.
Good on you, Mike.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Looking out for us all.
That fat guy.
Fat blokes.
then he died of a heart attack next to him. Oh, come on.
Turned into a zombie, the
This is
bastard.
why nobody picked him.
Anyway, okay, are we done?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think
Okay, so all that remains for me to say is you can look us up on Twitter at quittercontinue.com. You can check out the YouTube channel, and you can see us on iTunes and subscribe to this very podcast. I have been Mike Plant at, I can't remember my name, at Mike Plant GC. Andy Locken is
At Media Scribbles.
Jack Turner is.
Yeah.
How many?
I think we need to wrap up, Jack.
How many B's and scribbles?
Yeah.
All right. I'm at QLC Jack.
And Dave.
At TLD Dave.
Awesome.
Just
No, we're not giving a plug to your band.
Cool. You can also email us at mailus@quitorcontinue.com so to be part of the show. And the very next show where we'll be doing, have we decided Shadows of Mordor, isn't it? We're doing next, or is it Far Cry 4?
One of them.
Who knows? Let's do Shadows of Mordor.
Okay.
Well, I thought we were doing Far Cry 4.
No, we're doing Shadows of Mordor.
I can lend you Far Cry 4.
God, yeah, we're doing Shadows of Mordor. That's the one I want to play more.
Do you know what? You can both all.
And this is not a democracy.
It is a democracy, actually.
So, if you've got something to say about Shadows of Mordor...
I've got something to say. It is a democracy.
Then just tweet us or email us and say mail us at @quitorcontinue and you can be part of the next discussion. Yeah. Cool. Until next time, continue.
Yeah. Far Cry 4.
Granny's Garden.
Granny's Garden.